Hey guys, it's Honiball here from Retouch.ca. Alright, today's tutorial is about adding spin or rotation to something, and in this particular case, obviously, it's a car wheel. So typically what people will do is make a selection of the wheel, go into your filter, go into blur, radial blur, and choose spin. And you say OK to that. Now, as you can see, the spin just doesn't look correct, and the reason it doesn't look correct is because the spin assumes that the object is perfectly round, in spite of what kind of a selection you make on there. So I'm going to undo that. I'm going to take away my selection, and I'm going to show you what I do to add a correct looking spin to a wheel that has been shot on an angle. So the first thing I'll do is make a path of my wheel. I just find this a very quick way to make a selection. You may prefer to just draw it in, whatever you're comfortable with. So I'll make a selection of that wheel. I'll copy it and paste it, so I now have my wheel on a layer. The next thing I'll do is transform that wheel so that I get it looking round. So that's the idea. You want to make it look as round as possible. Although I'll then go back to my selection tool, and I'll make sure I select the whole wheel, because you don't want to spin just the rim, or it's going to look a little odd if the rim is spinning but the tire itself isn't. So there's my selection. My wheel is now on a layer. And I'll go back to my radial blur, and you'll notice one thing about the radial blur: it has this little blur center box, and if you look at my selection in the wheel, you can see that the center of the wheel is off to the right, and the ideal situation here is to add a spin in such a way that it looks like it's spinning from the center of the rim. So I'm going to adjust my blur center just off to the right a little bit. I'm going to guesstimate to see where I can line up that center of the spin. It may take a couple of goes. So I've selected center of my spin, and I'm going to say OK. Alright, so it looks like we have our spin too far to the left. So I'm going to go and undo that. I'm going to go back to my my radial blur, and I'm just going to move the blur center over to the right a little bit and try that again. Now it looks like it's too far to the right. So let's repeat that again. Radial blur, and I'm just going to move it off to the left a little bit, and we'll say OK to that. So that looks pretty good. My blur is looking good so far, but obviously the wheel looks kind of crazy being so big. So I'm going to undo my selection. I'm going to set my opacity to 50%. I'm going to choose my transform, and now I'm going to put my wheel back to the way it was originally. So that looks pretty good. Set the opacity back to 100%, and there's my wheel spin. Now a little bit of the spin has gone off to over onto the car, so I'm just going to erase that very quickly. And there you have it. There's your spin. Now obviously I did this very quickly, but you may want to spend a little more time on it, get that perfect center going. And of course the road isn't moving either, so that's something you may want to look at doing. But hopefully that'll give you a good idea how to add spin when the wheel has been shot on an angle. So thanks for tuning in. That completes the wheel spin tutorial. Just keep in mind, if there is anything else you'd like to see, if you'd like me to put together a tutorial on something you're really interested in, or you want to know how to do something, be sure and let me know, either through a comment here on YouTube, or if you want to send me an email. I will make sure I look at those comments and try and get something together for you. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you haven't done so already, be sure and check out my website at Retouch.ca. I have many before and after examples. And, as you may well know, my business thrives on word of mouth. So if you know anybody out there that can use my retouching services, I would appreciate it if you could pass my information along. Anyway, thanks for watching, and until next time, this is Glenn Honiball. Thank you.